In this video, we're going to start using the Landmass plugin to create our environment. And if you haven't watched the last video, and we need to enable this plugin to follow along. So we need to go here in the editing and then plugins and type Landmass. And you need to enable this plugin. I'm gonna check here, gonna ask you to restart the engine, and then we're gonna restart it, and then this plugin gonna be added to your project. For those who already enabled this plugin, if you wanna check whether this plugin it's enabled in your project, you just need to see if this checkbox is checked. If it is, it's because the Landmass has been added to your project. Other thing that you can see that when I restart my engine, instead of going to the level that we created, which is here in the levels, we are going to this third-person template. And that's happening because we need to change a few things in the project settings. So we're gonna go here in the project settings, maps and modes. And by default, the editor startup map and the game default map, it's set to the third-person map. So I need to go here and find my level. In my case, it's my cottage level. So we're gonna go and change this to cottage level, so we don't need to save anything. Now the next time you open your engine, you're gonna open this level instead of this third-person template. So, but right now to open the level, you need to go here and find the level that we create in the content drawer and click 2 times. And now I'm in the level again. Okay, so now we're gonna start using the landmass. And to use the landmass, we need to go back to our landscape mode. So we're gonna click here in the landscape mode. We need to go to Sculpt. And to find the landmass brush, we need to go here in the blueprint. So in the blueprint, we have this drop down over here, and you're gonna use this custom brush landmass. But before I do that, I'm gonna go here and create a new layer. The landscape edit layer, I'm gonna press select, and I'm gonna rename this one to landmass. I'm doing that because I want to separate anything that I'm gonna do with the landmass from my sculpting tools, because I can then manage and then separate. That's gonna be easier for you to manipulate your landscape. So that's why I'm doing that. Later, you're gonna have more layers here as well when you add the water system and so on. So we're gonna click in this landmass edit layer, just to make sure that I'm gonna create everything that's related to the landmass to this layer. And then I'm gonna go here in the drop down and I'm gonna search for this custom brush landmass. And then I'm gonna click. When I select this brush, I'm gonna go and click in my environment. And if that's happened, your environment disappear, just need to move the gizmo a little bit, and then everything, it's fine again. Okay, and now when you do that, you can see that we create this shape over here, a very weird shape. It seems like a pyramid or something like that. And this brush, it's very different from the other brushes that we use, because we are gonna use some spy lines to create the shape that we want. And as you can see here, we have this spy line and you have a few points. And these are the main things that you're gonna use to create the shape. So for instance, if I go here and click on one of the points, hold Alt and drag, you can see that I create a new point. And when I create a new point, we start to make this initial shape looks slightly different. And I can go and keep doing that. So I'm gonna go and create another point like that. And I can go and select this point and then move this point around. And then I can go and create another point. So that's the basic work of this brush. So we're gonna go here and I'm gonna create a few points first. So I'm gonna go here, move these points around, like that. So we're gonna go create another point. I'm gonna increase this speed over here. And maybe this point I can go. This one, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm not searching for a particular shape, I just want to make it bigger. After we understand better how this works, we're gonna go and try to find a shape that makes sense to our project. Okay, right now we create a few other points. And when you do that, you can see that we manipulate the overall shape of the brush that we are creating. But it still doesn't look good, right? So we still look okay, so it's not a pyramid anymore, but also it's not like a mountain. So how can we make this look good? Well, so one of the beauties of the landmass that even though right now it's looking terrible, we just need to tweak a few properties in order to make that look nice. And differently from the other brushes, so the sculpt brush, for instance, we have all these properties on this panel, the left panel in the landscape. But this brush, I'm gonna go and click a blueprint again. It's an item in your outliner. So you can see here in the outliner that now we have this landmass brush manager that we're not gonna use. Also have this landscape custom brush, which is the brush that we are manipulating. And if I go here and scroll down, you can see that we have a bunch of properties that you can tweak. And these properties are the beauty of this landmass plugin, because you're going to manipulate them to make this look good. So to do that, I can even go back to the selection mode. And then I'm going to go here and click in the landmass like that. And when I click in the landmass, here we have the properties. And now let's go over these properties. First, we have this brush type. Right now we're using the landmass outline, which means that we are creating a shape inside of this spline like that. But I can go and maybe use spline mesh. And when I do that, you can see that we use the spline on the center of the overall shape. So we create a completely different shape doing that. And also we have single mesh that's going to be very different. But I'm satisfied with the landmass outliner. Okay, other thing that you can do is the blend mode. So the blend mode right now, it doesn't make difference because you don't have anything to blend with, but later we're gonna have, so then I'm gonna show you. Other thing that you can do is invert the shape. So instead of create a mountain, start to create like a hole, a really big one. And now we start a few options that we use a lot. So first you have this cap shape. So if I enable the cap shape, you can see that we create more like a plateau instead of a mountain. We have this fall off angle, so maybe I can go and decrease this angle, and now the mount more smooth. Okay, so the fall off with the edge width offset and the Z offset, I'm gonna show you once you have other things to offset with. So we're gonna scrolling down. We have some properties that's using more specific cases that you're not gonna see now. But here we have this effect options. In this effect options, we're going to use a lot. So we have the blur that I'm going to show you later, because first I'm going to show you the crow noise and the displacement. So both, I think they are the most important properties to make this look good. So if I go here in the crow noise and increase, you can see that we start creating some randomness in our overall shape. And doing that, we can start making this shape look more like a mountain, right? So now I can go maybe increase this fall off angle like that. And then I'm gonna go back here and start manipulating these values to find a value that makes sense for my project. Yeah, in this case, there's no right or wrong, guys. It's more like find something that makes sense. And now you can see that this shape is looking slightly better, right? So it's more like a mountain. And other important property is this one, the displacement. And the displacement, basically, if you are completely new to materials, don't worry, we're gonna talk much more about displacement. But if I go here and click, I'm gonna go to the texture and I'm gonna open. And basically a displacement is an image, a black and white image, actually a grayscale image, where you're gonna tell when real, like the black value is gonna carve and the white value is gonna sculpt. So you're gonna manipulate the overall shape of the geometry based on the colors of the image. In a practical way, if I go here, I'm gonna use this styling noise, and if I increase these values, like, I don't know, 500, we can see that we start using this image to manipulate our environment. So we're gonna go in even further, like 1000. And you can see that we start generating this randomness based on this 2D texture. And that can increase a lot the realism of your model. So if I decrease here, I'm gonna have a bigger sample. If I go and make it bigger, you can have much more noise. And it's gonna look like a much more rocky mountain, like that. But I think the value of 2 makes sense. And now we can see I can use the blur. So if I go here and set to false, you can see that the change is subtle, but it happens. So I can go and increase this blur to 10, for instance. And now we can see that our mountains kind of start to falling apart. It's just blurring everything. So I think the value of 1, it's good for what I want. And also we have other option here, the curves. And the curves, basically, Unreal Engine gonna use a curve to create the overall shape of your mountain. So I can go here and check through the use curve channel. We have this drop down, and I can find a curve, this one, and now we can see that we are using this curve to create the overall shape of our mountain. So right now these values are too big, but if I decrease to 1000, for instance, you can see that we are using this shape over here, this curve over here, to create the silhouette of our mountain. And we can go even further, and so we're gonna click here to find my curve in the engine. I can type Ctrl D. I'm gonna create a copy, and I'm gonna call this one my curve, just to have a name. And now I can find the curve that I just created here, my curve. So I can double click and open, and now you can see that we have this graph to manipulate the curve. So for instance, I can go and drag. I'm just clicking my left mouse button and dragging this point. I can right click on the line and create another point, and I can start manipulating this point to create a curve that's going to be used to create the overall silhouette of the mountain. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to save everything. I'm going to go back, and sometimes take a while to update, but I'm going to go and select my curve again. And now we can see that the overall shape has changed a little bit. So we can use a curve to manipulate the overall silhouette of the mountain that we are creating. And that's very handy as well. So for this mountain, I'm not going to use a curve, but you got the idea, right? Okay, guys, so those are the main properties that you're going to change in order to make the landmass brush look good. And now I'm gonna have a challenge for you. So I want you to do exactly the same thing that I did. So create a brush, a landmass brush, put in your environment, start to create a few points and to create overall shape, and then work with these properties that I just show you for you to understand better and play a little bit with these properties to create a shape, a mountain that makes sense to your project. So give that a try, and then you're gonna keep going creating our project.